Alright, let me introduce you to another type of Guinness beer. To my fellow New Brunswickers, you may or may not be aware of this type. You used to get it here, don't get it anymore. It's still available in Nova Scotia. It's not available here in New Brunswick. This is Guinness Extra Stout. This bottle actually came from the US. I just picked it up today in Kellis. It is a bit different from their Guinness draft. The draft is meant to be more of a pub style. It has a nitrogen widget in the bottle to give it a creamier appearance. It's not quite as bitter. It's not quite as pronounced flavors, but it's damn creamy. Guinness Extra Stout is supposed to be a more robust type beer. It is not quite as creamy as it doesn't have that widget, and it is more akin to what more a traditional Irish stout should be. This stuff is says imported. It is, however, not. The Guinness Extra Stout that I'm aware of in both Nova Scotia and in Ontario, probably other parts of the country as well, are actually brewed right here in Canada. They are brewed over at like Labatt in their local areas. I've heard reports that it's not that great to not bad. I've had the Extra Stout from Nova Scotia before, and it's okay. This stuff, however, is from the States. Know where this is brewed? This is actually brewed right here in New Brunswick. I've read online, the label actually says on the back that it is brewed by the Guinness Brewing Company, New Brunswick, Canada. Product of Canada. And I've heard rumors that it actually originates from the Moosehead Brewery right here in St. John. It's weird. We don't get it here, yet it's made here. Maybe it's got something to do with that imported logo on the front. I don't know. It's not actually imported from Ireland. Anyway, let's have a look at it. Grab my bottle opener here. I had this a couple of years ago, the American version, when I was down in Boston. A nice, pretty yellow cap. Also, the bottles down in the States look a little bit different than the ones over in made here, which are actually like a standard beer bottle shape. Does it actually say anything? Brewed since 1759 with natural ingredients, today Guinness is enjoyed in over 150 countries. Experience the robust, mellow, and satisfying flavor for yourself. It's also cool to know that this isn't the only Guinness, like Guinness Draft and Guinness Extra Stout aren't the only two either. There's also a Guinness Foreign Extra Stout, which is apparently extremely good. I haven't had the pleasure of trying it yet. The best one I've had is the Extra Stout from the US and the one from Canada. But Guinness in general is a good beer. Now keep in mind, this is a glass meant for handling the widget cans, 440 milliliters. This is a 12 ounce, 355 milliliter bottle, so it's not going to fill it all the way. Let's give it a pour. This is a pretty good job filling that glass, actually. A little bit of finger ahead. The head, right away you can tell the head's not quite as not quite as fine. The bubbles aren't quite as fine as the ones in the regular draft. Now, it's still decent. It's still got a nice poofy, creamy head. It's got some medium coarse bubbles, but as it's going away, it's taking on like a wrinkled, pillowy appearance. Don't know if you can see that. Appearance-wise, it's definitely darker. Yes, yeah, it's a nice ruby red down at the bottom. When I poured a glass of Guinness, a regular Guinness Draft, a little while ago, and there was more light passing through. That's definitely darker. Smell. Ooh. Right away you can tell it's got an espresso. It's got a hoppy kind of smell to it, actually. You can tell it's got a up front in the nose, it's almost got like a hoppy pine cone kind of smell to it. But the malt's there too in the back. What comes out in the most though is definitely the hops. This is, after all, a more bitter beer than its cousin. Yeah. Other than that, it's not a very noticeable smell. It's kind of mild, so it's not an overpowering aroma or anything. Character-wise, you mainly smell the hops. Let's give it a taste. Oh. It's got a piney taste. Almost like a wine coating down in the back of the throat. It's got a very malty set. Chocolate espresso, faint hints, but a very malty roasted, very roasted, like a burnt malt character that comes down the top of the mouth and then down the back. You do notice it's bitter. It's a very bitter beer. Okay, that might be a bad thing to say. It's not quite as bitter as like an IPA would be. It's tolerable. But people who like the smoothness of Guinness rather than the taste of Guinness might be a bit put off by this extra stout. The term extra stout means that it's a stronger stout, whereas back in olden days, stout was kind of a heavy porter, more centered on the thickness and the bitterness. Extra stout is even stronger still, whereas the porter was the light type. So there's like extra stout. There's porter, extra stout porter, and extra stout porter, etc., etc., etc. What's the ABV on this? I love these American bottles. They don't actually openly advertise what the ABV is. I'll have to look it up for my review. I think it's 5% because that's what the stuff that's made by Labatt is, but I'd have to look it up. It tastes kind of like it's around that ballpark, and if it's a true stout, it's going to be just shy of 5%, like 4.2 to 4.8. Yeah, it's got a nice roasted quality, going to a bitterness in the back of the throat. It finishes dry. Mouthfeel wise, it's not quite as creamy as the draft, but then again, there's no nitrogen with it, so it's not going to be. It finishes nice and dry. It's not quite as easily drinkable as the regular one, but it's definitely pretty good. It's full of flavor. Now, compared to other stouts, I think Guinness is the king of stout when it comes to their draft. But their draft is a bit different tasting kind of beer compared to like most other stouts out there. But I know that there's other different types of stouts out there that have been made that really take the flavors and the malty qualities and take them into their own right. There's lots of others like oatmeal stouts and other cream stouts and things that really, change the genre. Whereas this one here is just a decent stout. It's not something I would go your way to buy, but it's definitely still a good beer if you want to try it. If you see it on the shelf, pick it up. I'm still going to give it like a 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 for me. But I'd say try it if you want to, if you're a real fan of stouts. But it's not going to blow you away. If you're a fan of stouts and you've tried lots of other stouts, don't expect highly of this, because that may disappoint you. Just keep in mind that it's a decent stout and it's made by Guinness. Alright, 4 out of 5. Thanks.